There we go. Hey everybody, Jake Klein with Photog Travels. I am talking to you today from inside PD. Doing that because I did a video earlier and I was moving around so much I thought it was a major distraction. So I think I need to do more stable videos, although this is at a weird angle. Anyhow, so I wanted to do a short video on what's been going on recently with the RV, and that is battery issues. So when I bought the RV, I noticed right off the bat that the coach battery, which is the big one that runs the motor, it was giving me an issue with starting if it sat for a day or two without being plugged in. So I was like, okay, well, you bought something used. I have no idea how old the battery is. In these vehicles, the batteries are usually not underneath the hood. They're somewhere underneath the seat, which is the case in mine. And so I kind of ignored it at first because it was still enough to start it every time. And shortly after, I discovered that my house batteries, those are the two deep cycle batteries, they were acting a little weird and cutting out to the point where it would barely start the generator. Well, and I looked into the generator. Let me check the spark plugs. Maybe it's that. Maybe the starter. No, generator's fine. And in fact, I think he had it serviced recently because the oil looks fresh. Either that or he just did an oil change. But I'll have to check the spark plug on it and everything like that. In any case, so I figured, look, you bought a 2008. Batteries in hot weather don't last very long, especially here in Vegas. Every 2 to 3 years you change tires and batteries. Sometimes they last longer, but that's about the average of what you should calculate in your budget when you're buying a vehicle or driving a used vehicle, whatever. So I replaced the house batteries with the same ones that were in there that the guy had put in from O'Reilly's, which is not the best quality, but they were deep cycle and they were not that expensive, and I figured at $100 a piece, $90 a piece, that they should do the job. And if not, down the line I would replace them because they don't last that long anyway. And I looked into all the different types of deep cycle batteries, including looking into the really expensive ones that are $600-700 a piece and sealed and yada yada yada, and all the pros and cons. So I did my due diligence, I did my research on it, and I put those two in. Everything seemed fine. Fast forward about a month, and I add solar power. Fast forward a week after that, and I add a 1800 watt inverter. The inverter has a gauge on it, and I started to keep track of kind of, how long was it taking to charge up when I would drain them a little bit by having a couple of laptops hooked in, and at one point I tried to hook a couple of utensils, a couple of things in there, and it just didn't quite work out. I tried a coffee machine, it's not strong enough. I tried a vacuum cleaner, definitely way too much power. I've learned a lot since then. I no longer use either of those, in that sense. So, I only do it when the generator's on. So, fast forward again, and I kept noticing 3 particular incidences where overnight it was draining all the way down, both batteries. Everything was fine with the house battery, but it was draining all the way down. Everything was fine with the coach batteries, but the house batteries, the deep cycle ones, were draining down. So I started to kind of do, go backwards, and the last thing I installed was the inverter. So I double checked all the wiring. Yes, everything was fine. Nothing was pinched. Nothing was the wrong gauge. I double checked everything. It's a good unit. Everything was fine. Okay, next. Solar panels seemed to be doing what they were doing. I did notice that the Renogy Wanderer and the Wanderer is the little controller, that it was blinking like it's doing right now, which it shouldn't be blinking that much anymore because it's not so much daylight. It was blinking into the nighttime. I noticed I was parking under really bright streetlights and thought maybe somehow that the unit is being tricked by the light to thinking that it's daylight and somehow it's getting some kind of a charge. But I also knew that built into it was an overcharge and a discharge and something else into the unit so that it wouldn't overcharge the batteries and also it wouldn't discharge them too much. In other words, if there's too much, it'll drain a little bit, but so that your batteries don't overheat and explode. But it wasn't doing that. So I had three incidences where it actually drained the battery all the way down to like 10.1, or one point it was just a little bit below that. Couldn't even get the generator to start, and that was not cool. And eventually the next day when the sun kicked in, it boosted back up. I started the generator, ran it for an hour, everything was fine. I just figured, okay, maybe I got one faulty battery. I brought those back, so now we're a month and a half ahead. I brought those back and they were shot. They were not holding a charge. This was 3 days ago. And the guy's like, never heard of that before. And I'm like, well, that's my luck. Maybe I got 2 bad batteries. So he gave me 2 more. I hooked those up and I'm noticing the same thing happen again. So I called Renogy and I said to the tech, this is what's going on. When I unplug the negative from the battery, it seems to restart the unit, the little Wanderer controller, and everything seems to be fine. It's not draining the rest of the night. And they said, well, there's nothing we can do over the phone. We'll send you a UPS sticker, a mail thing, and then you mail it back to us. If it's bad, we'll replace it. We'll send you a new one. And I was, that's good customer service. If it's good, you're going to have to pay the shipping back. And I was like, okay, that's fair enough. You guys are paying to do it, and especially since I bought it through Amazon, not through their store and not through them. So it was a third party. So I was all happy, and then they still haven't sent me the UPS thing. In the meantime, I learned about different controllers. I also learned that Wanderer controller is kind of the entry-level controller, and it's not very strong, and they can go bad. And I got one that went bad right away. So I thought that was the problem. So then you fast forward one more day, and I go to start the engine, and that battery is so dead that my unit has a little button up front, the little switch, and you can switch it, and it'll give you a jump start from the house batteries, and that wouldn't even help at all. So I had to have somebody jump start me. Went to Interstate, took the big battery out. They gave me for $27 a temporary battery, which I put in there. A much newer, stronger, much more expensive one. Fast forward 3 days, they call me up and say, your battery passed the test, it's holding a charge. Great. So now I know I have some kind of wiring issue. Maybe it's drawing from the bad batteries that are in the house, and therefore it's draining the coach battery, trying to compensate, because they are connected. Yeah. It gets complicated. And I still don't know a lot about it. I'm learning. I'll be looking up all that stuff tonight. So they were nice enough to offer me to buy the loaner battery, which is only a year old and still has a year warranty on it. And it is a $350 battery that is lead acid sealed, which is a lot safer and a lot stronger. Not a lot stronger, a little bit stronger. And so it's a $350 battery. The battery I had in there is only a $200 battery. So I got a $350 used battery for essentially about $56. Good deal. So, and that's been starting every time. No issues with that. But when he put it all together again, because I had disconnected everything, he noticed, he said, let me test the alternator and see if it's coming from there. Maybe that's your problem. Simple fix. Well, expensive, but simple fix. So he tests it, and he's getting no reading when the car starts versus when the car's off. So that indicates that it's probably not getting a charge from the alternator. So this morning I brought and dropped off the RV at my friend's place, Diesel Mechanic here in town in Las Vegas, and they checked every wire in the whole damn thing, and the alternator is properly charging the battery. He doesn't know what the hell the guy at Interstate was talking about, although he did say in all fairness that, you know, wires and electrical and batteries are tricky, and alternators are tricky things. You could go over a bump and get one reading, and then the next day, because it's really, really hot and you've been driving it for a while, get another reading, or it's really cold and get a different reading. So nothing's definitive, but the end result is I still don't know what's going on. So right now it is, sorry, but I had it taped to a thing. So right now it's still it's daylight, although it's stormy. We got a yucky storm coming in. I don't know why I called it yucky. We have a storm coming in. And I'm still getting a pretty strong, let's do this. So that's my Wanderer from Renogy, or Renogy. That is the solar power, and it's blinking, the PV one that's blinking. That's fine that it's blinking now because it's still kind of daylight, and even though it's cloudy out, it still gets its power from the rays, not actually from direct sunlight, but from the rays. So it's fine. And then over here is the, here we go. Let's see if you can get those readings properly. This is the power inverter. And as you can see, it's 120 volt, but it's only 11.7 amps. So it's hooked up right now, getting solar power. Brand new batteries that are a day old. And I'm only getting 11.7. What do I have hooked up? What is actually connected? Laptop. That's it. There's nothing else plugged in. Not even a cell phone. Oh, I'm sorry. I have 4 LED lights hooked up. And is the water pump? Nope. Yeah, the water pump is on, but it's not actually being used. But let me shut off all the lights. So I'm shutting off the water pump, shutting off the lights, and you'll be able to see me at that point. Yeah, you can. And has it changed? Nope. 11.7. So those obviously are not draining anything here. I'll also unplug the laptop power. It was just 11.7. Oh, it's 11.8. Now, 11.8 is still okay. That's not bad. They're 12 volt batteries. They can go, I think 13.5 they'll go up to. But if they've been sitting getting charged all day and all I'm draining is a little bit from a laptop, and now for maybe 15 minutes the lights, which I'm going to turn back on, you can see me better, then something's not right. Something is draining, and I don't know what it is. And I am trying to figure it out. And when I do, I guess I'll do a follow-up video. In the meantime, feel free to comment on this. I'm going to post this on YouTube. Feel free to comment if you are experiencing similar things and have any questions for me, or even more importantly to me. I mean, I love helping people, but I also love to receive help. So if you are an electrician or an RV expert, and you have some comments on what I might be doing right or wrong, or things to check, even though I feel I've done my due diligence and checked everything, please feel free. I mean, I check for pinch wires and all that kind of fun stuff, and I have the right gauge wires for everything, and it's all run properly. It's to the best of my knowledge. So yeah, please comment, hit the subscribe button down here somewhere. Alright guys, Jay Klein, Photog Travels. Follow me for some fun adventures, which I will be hitting the open road once again April 5th. And I'm going to be starting that in style. I'll talk about that in the next video. Alright guys, peace out, love you.